Hi, hello.
Hey, what's going on?
Is this Marcus?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Marcus, this is Tommy. This video is going to be recorded and potentially uploaded. How can I help you?
Hey, one, I really would like to say I appreciate your videos, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Really helping.
Appreciate you.
No problem, no problem. I just got a couple questions for you. So, um, pretty much, I'm on unemployment right now, right? And in Georgia, I guess it is that they have like different laws. The governor's changing it up, and
Okay.
usually with unemployment, it ends at September. But in Georgia, they're going to end it around June 29th or 26th or something like that.
Okay.
So I remember you breaking down on the budget video. There's three types of ways that you want to budget your money. You have the high interest one, you have the student loan and mortgage one, and then you have, I believe, like a normal one of some sorts. So
Hmm.
I was really wondering, knowing the case that I'm in right now with the unemployment kind of going out of the way, knowing that I have to also get a job from after that, what form of budget do you believe would be best in that type of regard? Mind you, I have student loans of about $54,000. My income right now, let's say including unemployment, is about $4,000
Per month?
um, per month, and
Okay.
my expenses are actually, let me pull it up so I can give you the exact numbers. The expenses, I believe, around $2,000 for expenses. Let me
So you're
give you
telling
a
me you
exact.
have a surplus right now of $2,000 a month?
Yes.
All right. So what you're referring to is probably the avalanche method. It's not like a way to budget your money. The avalanche method basically says, for example, you want to pay the debt that costs you the most money with the highest interest rate. That's what you want to do. So, for example,
Mhm.
do you just have student loan debt? You have credit card debt? Do you have a car loan, personal loan?
Yeah. So I have credit card debt. Let me go ahead and tell you exactly what it is. So I have credit card debt of around $1,920, so 1920,
Okay,
and I guess the PPP loan, but that's going to be forgiven because I've been doing that, so I guess that doesn't
potentially
count. Yeah, potentially right. But that one's about 15,000 for the
fifteen
PPP loan.
thousand.
And the car note is 14,000.
Okay.
So I
All
guess
right.
in total that's what, 80, 90,000.
Total is a lot of money. That's what it is. So you have
Mm-hmm.
$54,000 in student loan debt. You have 1920 on the credit card debt. You have
Mm-hmm.
$15,000 on the PPP loan, potentially forgiven. Who knows? And then you have the
Mm-hmm.
$14,000 on the that's $84,920.
Actually,
84.
student loan is 50,000, 57,000 for student loans. I'm looking
Oh,
at
it's
it.
57,000. Okay. Now here's what this does. Okay, the very first
Mm-hmm.
thing, you're going to have to get a budget. Now, in the budget, every budget has four walls, right? The four walls of mandatory spending are usually going to be shelter. Usually, that cannot be more than 30% of your monthly income. So, how much is shelter for you right now?
Shelter right now is 400.
So, you pay for who do you live with?
I live with moms right now.
Okay. Utilities, I'm guessing you don't have to pay that, right?
Nah, not really. I mean, do you count phone bill as utilities?
Yes, yes, I do. I do.
All right. So phone bill is 150. I have health insurance. This is 111.
Wait. Stop there. This phone bill, right? What do you have? You
Mm-hmm.
have like you bought a phone, you're paying it off?
Yes.
Okay. And all right, groceries,
Groceries is 320 a month.
320.
Yep.
Okay. And you live with your mom, right? You helping her out with the groceries too?
Yeah, pretty much. So it's like what, $80 a week.
Okay. And then lastly, you have transportation. How much you spend on this car? What are your payments per month, including, for example, your insurance and everything?
So total of insurance and everything,
Yeah, everything combined. Your payment, insurance, and gas.
and gas. Let me go ahead and tell you. 668.
658.
668. Excuse me.
Okay, 668.
That's including gas, insurance, and car note.
Okay, 668. All right. So here's what it sounds like, right? It sounds like if you pay $400 in rent, $150 in your phone bill, plus $320 for the food right now, and then 650, 660, 668, right?
Yeah.
For this car.
668.
That's $1,538. That means, for example, you have a gap of around almost $500. I'm pretty sure your health insurance is not $500, right?
No, health insurance is 111.
Yeah, so most likely you're spending $300 where you shouldn't be spending it also, because you're telling me your expenses are $2,000. So what that means, usually you want to cut out everything you don't need right now because you're in crazy debt. Now, the first thing is that's your budget right there, your mandatory budget: groceries, shelter, utilities, transportation. Now, as far as, for example, what do you do with all the debt you have right now? First thing is you have to save $1,000 for emergencies in case anything does go wrong. If it does go wrong while you're doing this plan, the answer is you wait, you stop, you rebuild $1,000, and then you go back to continue the plan. Now, to pay off this debt, we're going to use something called the avalanche method. Meaning, for example, you're going to pay the debt that costs you the most money in interest. That's usually going to be the credit card, and then the PPP loan might be forgiven, so I'll probably leave that for last, and then the car note. Now, here's the thing, right? You have two ways to pay debt. You pay it off, or you sell the things you don't need. This car, how much is this car worth?
Actually, it's worth exactly what it is right now because I bought it for around 26, maybe 26,000.
All right, 26,000 now it's only worth $14,000, right? And
yeah, it's probably exactly how much it worth.
By the way, when before this whole pandemic thing happened, how much money were you making per month?
Before, probably around 5,000-6,000.
Okay. Now, one thing you're gonna have to change, brother, is you want to be wealthy. So if you want to be, if you want to be wealthy, you're gonna have to stop acting wealthy right now. Fancy cars, getting into debt is a part of acting wealthy. When I was 19 years old, I was big on that. I was buying flashy sneakers, flashy everything, trying to look like what I want to be in the future. But in reality, you're buying traps that are going to prevent you from actually being wealthy in the future. Does that make sense? So the first thing is, as far as, for example, this car note, what would I do here? Would I pay off this car $14,000? The answer is no. I would sell this car. If it's worth $14,000, I try to get that money for it, pay off the loan that I actually owe on it, and buy me, for example, a little beater car. Now, I'm guessing, where did you work before the pandemic?
I was a server, so I was working at Papita.
Okay. So you did nothing with this car except just go to work, right?
Yes, literally.
All right. So you
I'm
can
in
get
Atlanta. A little bit different.
I understand. So you can get, for example, a little beater car, $3,000 max, maybe $4,000. That's it. You get a car, take from point A to point B. Now, a big thing is going to be the mentality shift. When someone sees you or the friends you have right now, because by the way, when I had those fancy sneakers, I had friends that I thought were my friends, but in reality, they were friends with me because of things that I had. When I stopped wearing all that fancy stuff, looked like I just got these things right off the thrift store, it was just different, right? So this means you got to sell this car, you pay off your debt, now you owe $14,000 less. This credit card debt, right? It's the highest debt that you have right now. I would focus, for example, right now, you have with a clear budget, you're spending somewhere around like $1,700 a month, most likely. With a very like budget-based budget, like this is your real budget. Meaning, for example, if you're getting $4,000 in income, minus the $1,700 that you're actually spending, because you're basically no eating out, no nothing, beans and rice and everything like that, like Dave Ramsey says, you have $2,300 every single month free. This means this month you don't owe any money in this credit card anymore. You're done there. It means now the next step is you got to tackle this student loan debt. But before you do that, you got to find out exactly if you did the correct thing with this whole PPP loan. If all the X's are marked, then great. You wait until it's forgiven. If you know you did something fishy with it or anything like that, you got to make sure you have to account for it and say like, okay, how much interest are you going to charge me on this stuff, and how much am I going to have to pay, and when am I going to start paying? If it's going to be forgiven, great. If it's not, be honest with yourself, because it doesn't make sense not to be honest with yourself. Now, it means if you are having $2,300, right? By the way, you're a server and you have $54,000 in student loan debt. What did you study for? Like what career?
Game art, so creating the visual aspects of a video game.
Okay. Did he try to get a job in that field? Was it hard?
Yeah, it's extremely hard to get a job. Even knowing someone, it's still hard to get a job.
Okay.
You have to, like one of those, you have to be born in that situation type of, like literally, not like a metaphorically speaking.
What do you mean?
Like, it's like your father has to already work in the gaming, and so because you have obviously that's your father. If you're in gaming, that's how you're able to get in the field of gaming. It's not like a new person can get into the competition, like at least nowadays. That makes sense.
I'll say this, right? I'm big on Activision and all these gaming companies on, right? And I'm pretty sure over 15,000 employees are not just, for example, like born out of one guy, right? You gotta ask yourself, am I, for example, in the right area? Like Atlanta, is it the great place to be? Or do I have to be in New York? Or do I have to be in Texas? Or do I have to be in LA, or whatever it is? And then you have to say, well, if I have to move, what's going to be my cost of living versus what I can make, right? So you gotta find out what the answer to that question actually is, and then work around that. Because what I don't want is for you to have $54,000 in student loan debt, which you will pay, and then all you have is just a degree that you never really got the chance to use because you might think you're not able to use it. Does that make sense? So you got to ask yourself, is this the right area? Can I apply outside of my state? Can I see what's actually going to happen? Go ahead.
I went through that process before. The exact process you told me, fresh out of college. I applied for every state except Tennessee, Carolina.
Did you try freelancing?
Yes, I did. I did freelancing for a little bit.
And how'd that go?
It was cool, but it wasn't, because of the pandemic and everything. It wasn't hitting and everything, if that makes sense. So like on and off, I would get a deal or get a job or something like that. But it wasn't like popping. It's like it's like with anything like YouTube, you have to be consistent until you get.
So here's what I would do, right, Marcus? I would focus on, if I have this career thing, I would do some freelancing on the side, and I'll start sending more applications in. A lot more in. When I say a lot, I mean over 100, 200 applications. Apply everywhere. Entry everything possible. That's the goal. I heard the story about this girl. She makes around $376,000 every single year, an insane amount of money. And when she came to New York, she applied for every single thing she possibly could, got rejected by everything except one, and then stayed there making $30,000, and then slowly built her entire business from the ground up, like freelancing and so on. The same thing can happen to you, but it takes work ethic. So if I'm saying 8 hours, 10 hours working my server job, 4 hours on my freelancing, 8 hours sleep, 2 hours for whatever else I want, whatever it is, okay? You got to do the thing. That way you can actually become a success in whatever you want to achieve, right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. As far as, for example, your current situation here, the idea is you would take that $2,700 and try to start paying off the student loan debt. You would average out the loans, for example, from the highest APR to the lowest APR. Pay the loans with the highest APR. Now, by the time June comes, the idea is you're going to have to get a job, right? Whether that's in serving, whether it's delivering pizzas, and also freelancing. You're going to have to make some money to actually pay this stuff off, right? Now, that means your student loan debt. If everything turns out great, for example, and you can sustain paying them, for example, $2,700 every single month towards this debt, well, $54,000 divided by $2,700 is going to be somewhere around 20 months. So divided by 12, that's going to be around like 1.6 years to 2 years. It's not that bad. It's pretty good, honestly.
Mhm.
So in 2-3 years, you're fully debt free if the PPP loan got forgiven. And now you have the
Mhm.
freedom to say, well, I bought a $3,000 car. I'm fully debt free. What's next? I can save up 3 to 6 months for emergencies. Okay, I have that. So if this happens again, I don't have to rely on a credit card or anything like that. Now I'm investing. How much do I invest? Between 10 to 20% into my retirement accounts. Now I have extra money coming in. What do I do with this extra money? How old are you, by the way?
26, and I
Yeah.
have about $20,000 in investments.
You have $20,000 in investments.
Yes.
What do you invest into?
I have. I'll tell you right now. Let me pull it up. So Roth IRAs mainly. I
Mm-hmm.
have some crypto on the side, which is a very small. Well, I put less than 1% in my portfolio, and it grew to more of my portfolio. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand.
I have one individual stock that I'm heavily invested in, and another is I do stock options, and I probably make around $1,000 a month off of that.
Did we talk before?
No.
Okay. The stock options you do, right? Here's my thing. All right, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
be honest here. My thing is this: if you make, for example, 8-12% of your money, and you're paying, for example, on this car maybe like 18%, maybe on the credit card 18-24%, student loans maybe 4 to 5%, and then you adjust for inflation on your entire gains and all that stuff. How
Mm-hmm.
can you get? It's gonna be very hard to get wealth that way. Does that make sense?
Yep.
That's why it's so important, for example, that we pay our debts off first, because that's going to give us even more income to go ahead and basically pay towards our investments. So it means
Oh,
I
yeah.
was
I haven't put anything
go ahead.
towards my investment in a very long time, since like 2020.
You haven't
I haven't
what?
put any. I haven't added anything towards my investment since like 2020.
Okay. Well, my main thing would
So,
be I would look, yeah, I would look at my portfolio and I would say to myself, well, what in this portfolio do I truly understand, right? And whatever is I understand, I keep it. Whatever I don't understand, I let go of it and I sell it. Whatever money I make from that, I can use that. By the way, you didn't? Did you use your Roth IRA to invest into very speculative investments?
no, I used surprisingly, some of them is similar to yours. So S&P,
Awesome,
emerging, small caps,
awesome.
real estate. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very similar to yours, to be honest.
Awesome. So yeah, so if the real estate, I mean, if the Roth IRA stuff is like more secure and you really understand it, great. You keep all that stuff there. Now, as far as, for example, everything else you have, if you don't understand it truly, for example, do I really understand what this crypto thing is going to do, or is money for options going to do in the future, all this stuff? If the answer is no, you can sell it and use that money towards paying off your debt, or potentially getting yourself a little beta card to then go ahead and do Uber Eats or do whatever you need to do to earn some income. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
But the
gotcha.
thing is, right? One I tell you this personal story. I bought Delta last year, um, at around $22 an average. I got
Oh
around
yeah.
609 shares, and
Mm-hmm.
my entire analysis of the company was not really that great. So a part of it was luck, honestly. Now, although I made 103%, the answer is it doesn't mean I was right.
Right. Of
And it
course.
takes, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it takes, for example, a lot of honesty and putting your
And
ego
skip.
aside to say, yo,
Mm-hmm.
I might have made money in this cryptocurrency thing, but am I right about it?
Right. Did I really put in the work for it?
Yeah, do I really understand it? If the answer is no, then you got to make a choice. Do I sell this, use this money to get me my freedom a lot faster? That's the whole goal here.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Then I could definitely sell one or two of them
Yeah, and sell
for
the
sure.
car.
I have, because I know I also have acorns later as well. I have like that I actually got from you. I didn't even know about acorns, so
Mm-hmm.
I just put a quick 300 in that one and then never messed with it again
Mm-hmm.
last year. So
Well,
that one, I mean, not 300, 100, and it grew to 300. And so I
Okay.
was just like, all right, cool, I'll leave it there and
Awesome.
never touch it again. So I've been focused on the debt. I've been focused on the income because I already have over 1,000 saved in my emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
So I already have that. It's just, like I said, it's just a matter of what specific route do I take in
The avalanche
paying off.
method. You pay the
Right.
debt that
Okay.
costs you the most money. That's the key there. So
Okay. So yeah.
obviously the PPP loan is not gonna cost you that much money if it actually gets forgiven. But if you know it might not be forgiven, maybe something you did, the answer is you gotta ask yourself, well, what's the interest rate on this stuff? I think it's like 3.75, something like that, and then you start paying it off also. But you're gonna do credit cards first. You're gonna sell this car. Don't keep the car, bro. Trust me. Because if you bought this car, when did you buy this car?
Uh, 2017, 2018, somewhere around there.
Okay. What brand is it?
Kia Forte.
Yeah.
This was, like I said, this was the time when I was making $5,000-$6,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Does that
Now
make
the
sense?
key is, guess what? I strongly believe you're gonna go back to that. Now, I strongly believe when you go back to that now, you're not going to buy all these things. Right? The key is when you do start making that much money, you use that money to clean up all this debt you have also, and then you use that money
Mhm.
to build your financial foundation. A full-blown emergency account. You start investing 15-20% of that income into your retirement, and the rest of the money you start saving up for, hey, I'm going to save this money up for a down payment on a home. 10,
Yep.
20%. And then once you get the home, you follow the 33% rule, basically saying this home cannot exceed 33% of my monthly income on a 15-year mortgage. The home you'll buy will not be that expensive. And you can also pay, for example, an extra 15% towards it and be done, for example, in 8 to 10 years. I'm saying if you put in the work and you lower your expenses, 2-3 years you're debt free. Once you're back on your and you keep applying for the jobs, bro, because the thing is you don't stop applying when you don't get your way. You keep applying, you keep applying, you keep applying. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop, and get freelancing jobs, even for example for way below your rate, because you don't want to lose a skill of being a game developer, whatever you're doing, because that skill can be lost, by the way, if you don't practice it. So you keep
Yeah.
practicing it and practicing and practicing it, and when the time comes, you're ready for that. If you spend a year applying and you finally get a job doing exactly what you want to do and you love, it's awesome. And then once you get that job, you're saying, well, now you're 26, right? So now
Hmm.
you're 28, you're debt free, or like 28 and a half. And then 10 years later, you have a fully paid off home. So now you're like 38 years old and you also have a lot of money invested. It's just step by step. I know it sounds like a long time, but it's just the way it works. There's nothing comes like out of nowhere. It's a lot of Instagram stuff that says that stuff. And the average millionaire, by the way, drives a Toyota or a Honda Civic. That's what they don't tell you. So that's why I
What?
say, yeah, the average millionaire drives a Toyota or a Honda Civic.
Doesn't Warren Buffett drive a Honda?
No, he drives a Cadillac. It's like a $30,000
Uh,
car. And
I'm
then
about to
the
say,
average. Go ahead.
no, my bad. Because I know he said that he's a billionaire, but I believe he lives off $100,000 of his income or something like that.
Yeah, he lives off because again he has a paid off home. He doesn't have to worry about any of that stuff either. And I think it's actually less. He doesn't spend that much money at all. Um, but on top of that, also the average. Okay, so listen to this, right? This is crazy stuff. The average millionaire drives a Toyota or a Honda because they're very reliable, very well engineered, and all that stuff. And they also
Mm-hmm.
don't buy a home that's usually over $300,000. They don't buy those homes. Usually it's like $250,000 and less. So the point I'm making here, the people that actually make it to be very, very wealthy are not the people that are going out there and spending a ton of money on fancy cars, on credit card debt, and they don't pay their debts, and they take a lot of risk and all that stuff. Those are not the people that
Mm-hmm.
actually make it. Remember, when you watch content on YouTube, and people doing this stuff, remember, they make money by you watching those videos, and right now YouTube is pushing a lot of those videos to this audience, okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So my goal is to make sure that Marcus is good. Marcus is good, and that's my goal here. So just make sure you follow through what you got to do to make sure you're good in the future. Okay.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
All right,
So,
brother.
one more question. So,
Go
let's
ahead.
say after I pay debt, the budget system and everything, because you have 6 ways of doing it. Emergency investment, you know it because you said it. What do you think?
You mean the 6 jobs of money? The 6 jobs of money are emergencies. You have investments. You have debt. You have expenses. You have fun. And you have charity. Initially, when you first start out, right, you have $1,000 in emergencies. You're not investing anything. Maybe 1% if you want to, just to keep it active, but nothing really. You're paying off your debt with the most of your money. Your expenses have to be at your level. It's going to be less than 70%, which is great, and that's awesome. Fun is going to be maybe 1% max. You're not there to have like a ton of fun there because right now you're broke. You're negative broke. And then charity might be just 1%. If you're a Christian and you teach, that might be 10%. But once you're debt free, you can fully fund an emergency account. And then once that's funded, you can say, hey, I'm going to start investing 10-20% into my investment account. I'm going to start saving up for this down payment, 10-20%. And then once you get this mortgage, you put an extra 15% towards it to pay it off even faster. And once you're done with that, your shelter costs are taken care of. The answer is you can say, hey, I'm going to have a lot more fun. I'm going to maybe invest more, or I'm going to give more, whatever you want to do.
Gotcha.
Okay. But
awesome.
But the big term there's I think there's 2 inactive accounts in those jobs because the investment job is automated, so money gets sent over there. The debt job is temporary because eventually you won't have it anymore. That's the goal. But it can also be automated by setting up your payments in auto pay. The charity can also be automated into your favorite charity. The fund can be in a separate like debit card so you don't spend it, and the expenses should be in a separate debit card. That way you don't spend it on the wrong things. And the investments should be, for example, the emergencies should be also in a separate checking account or savings accounts. That way you don't touch it under any circumstance. Does that make sense?
Yep, 100%. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, that's the goal, brother. But you're solid, man. Just get out of the debt. 2-3 years, you're done with that stuff. You're back on the double field. And then if you have the ability to make that much money, you'll be solid very quickly. Okay? You're good.
All right. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, bro. Appreciate you too, Marcus. And by the way, feel free to call in whenever you're ready, okay?
Awesome. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
Peace out. Have fun.
You too.
All right, guys, so that right there was Marcus, and I'm running out of time here, but the overall idea is that sometimes you want to basically act rich when you're not rich yet. You start to think basically, well, I'm going to make $5,000 for the next month, for the next 12 months or whatever, that's $60K, I'm going to be just fine. And then boom, pop, everything changes. You're not making that money. Now what happens? You have all these liabilities that you actually don't need whatsoever, and now you got a problem. And sometimes you start to fail in life and you say, well, I can't find a job. I've tried twice. And you're like, I can't do this anymore. Or for him, he applied in 48 different states. He didn't get through. The answer is you don't stop. You keep applying, You start at a very low level, you start growing and growing and growing, but you don't stop. Because once you stop with those jobs, some jobs, by the way, they don't come back. If you stop doing game development, guess what happens? The software technology gets advanced, and then before you know it, you're obsolete. So you don't want to stop. You want to keep going. With startups, with individuals, whatever it is, you keep going and going and going. The point is, don't get into crazy debt. And don't try to pay off liabilities. Sometimes it's just good to just go ahead and sell them completely. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining me in this video. On top of that, also, if you want to call me directly, feel free to do so. Link down below. All calls are free, but calls are going to be limited. So get in while you still can right now. On top of that, like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. And if you guys want to DM me, well, DM me right here at Tommy Bryson. And lastly, another video right here. Click my face right here. See you guys tomorrow. And as always, peace.